On the sacred peaks of the Mount Kailasa, where the mountains kissed the heavens and the air was filled with divine stillness, Lord Shiva sat in meditation beside his consort Parvati. As they gazed over the world they protected, a playful conversation took place between them. Shiva, known for his deep understanding of detachment and renunciation, spoke with a calm and certainty in his voice. Parvati, he began, all that exists in this world, everything we see, touch or taste, is an illusion. Even food is nothing but Maya, an illusion of the mind. The body's need for sustenance is temporary, and therefore food itself holds no good importance. Parvati, the ever wise goddess, smiled gently. Though she admired Shiva's spiritual depth, she also knew that nourishment in all its forms was essential for life. She embodied the power that sustained the universe, the force that fed not just the bodies but the souls. Without nourishment, there could be no life. But Shiva, in his ascetic ways, continued to assert that food was an illusion. Parvati listened in silence, her mind turning with thought. She decided to teach him a lesson, a divine lesson in humility that would reveal the value of nourishment, both physical and spiritual. Disappearing from Mount Kailasa, Parvati took on the form of Annapoorna, the goddess of food and sustenance. With her departure, something miraculous happened. All the food in the world vanished. Not a single grain remained. Every kitchen, market, temples lay empty. The air grew heavy with hunger. The people of the earth and the gods in the heaven alike felt the sudden absence of nourishment. The temples where offerings of food were made stood silent, their fires dim. The sacred rituals of gods could not be performed. Even the gods who had never known hunger began to feel the gnawing emptiness in their stomachs. The world began to wither. Though Shiva lived as an ascetic, unaffected by hunger himself, he witnessed the chaos that unfolded around him. Without food, the world was losing its life force. He realized that what he had dismissed as a mere illusion was in fact a profound blessing. Life depended on nourishment. Without it, even the gods grew weak. Realizing the mistake he made, Shiva set out in search of Parvati. He wandered through forests and across rivers, calling her name, until at last he arrived at the holy city of Kashi. There, standing in her full glory, was Annapoorna Devi. She was radiant, dressed in a golden sari that shimmered like the sun. In her hands, she held a golden pot, brimming with rice, and a ladle of divine nourishment. The people of Kashi, who had also suffered, gathered around her, their hearts filled with hope. With a loving smile, she began to ladle rice from her pot, serving it to the people. Miraculously, the pot never emptied. No matter how much she served, rice continued to flow. People ate, their hunger disappearing with every bite they took. The city came alive again, rejuvenated by her grace again. Shiva watched from afar, struck by the realization of how much the world relied on Annapoorna's blessings. Without her, without nourishment, there could be no life. He approached her humbly, bowing before her. "Devi," he said, his voice soft with newfound understanding. "I now see that food is not just an illusion, but a divine gift. Without you, even the greatest beings cannot survive. Please forgive me for my ignorance. Annapoorna looked at Shiva with kindness. Shiva, she said, you are right that the world is filled with Maya. But food is not just sustenance for the body. It is the love of the divine, the energy that sustains life. Without it, the world will fall into chaos. In a gesture of humility, Shiva held out his begging bowl, the same bowl he used as a wandering ascetic. Smiling, Annapoorna filled it with rice from her golden pot. Rice shimmered with the light of her divinity. At that moment, Shiva understood the true value of nourishment, the balance between spiritual and material. Shiva returned to Mount Kailasa, humbled and wiser. From that day on, he recognized the power of Divine Mother. It was as important as the knowledge of detachment. The world needed both the asceticism of Shiva and the nourishment of Annapoorna to thrive.